The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
We are Rotary, committed heart and soul to build community.
Thank you very much for joining us here on WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to be hosting this show. Today we're going to talk a lot about Rotary. You're listening to AM 630 or FM 99.7. We are indeed a Cumulus station. A big thank you and shout out to ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television, for televising this radio show. You're listening to WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. And of course, we have a big audience out there, either from the state of Rhode Island, the Bay State in Massachusetts, and of course, in Connecticut. We reach out to a lot of listeners, and on this particular show that we've been doing for the past 15 years, we like to talk about the good things that are happening in local communities and beyond. We also talk about the good things that people do, like our guests that'll be joining us today. They belong to an organization called Rotary. It's a worldwide humanitarian organization that certainly serves over 200 countries. And of course, you're talking 1.4 billion, I should say, million Rotarians. Mm-hmm. And we also thank other organizations out there that do likewise, whether it be the Lions Club, the Quanians. There are many organizations, men and women, who join forces together to do some terrific things. Right now, we're going to introduce our guests. We have a couple of people that have joined us on Zoom, and we see a lot of handsome faces joining our show here on WPRO. My in-studio guest is Steve Savanna. Steve's from my home club, the Rotary Club of Sharon, Massachusetts. He's an assistant governor. He's been a president of the Sharon Club on 2 different occasions. And you'll see him at many Rotary functions, setting up and breaking down a shelter box USA. And of course, we happen to have the president of Shelter Box, Carrie Murray. She joined us on Wednesday for a show. And our guests are now online with us. Certainly, it's nice to see Ken Kaplan joining us. He, of course, has been a long-time Rotarian. He served as an assistant governor. And he's with the Rotary Club of Sarasota, Florida. He's living in a place where the sun shines a lot. We're here in Massachusetts wearing jackets and trying to stay warm. But he also was an ambassador for Shelter Box USA. He had a spot, according to Carrie Murray, as a member of the board of directors for a period of time. So between all the folks that join us on the air today, thank you so much for not just serving as Rotarians, but also serving as ambassadors for Shelter Box USA. And I'm going to share some of the comments made by Carrie Murray sometime during our broadcast and, of course, telecast. This is a production of WPRO as well as ECAT. And let me, first of all, start off with Steve. He's the guy that lives the closest to the studio. WPRO, of course, is in Providence. A big thank you to Brett Ferruccio, our producer back at the studio. He's the guy that's pushing the buttons for the radio. And Adam Carrero is here in the TV studio, and he's the one that pushes the buttons for the PSAs and to put you folks on screen and on camera for the show. Steve, Thank you so much for all the good things you do for the Rotary Club of Sharon. How long have you been a Rotarian?
I'm going on 19 years, I believe. And it's amazing because I get two of my mentors right here. You, Dave, were my sponsor to get into Rotary, and Ken Kaplan, who got me involved with Shelterbox USA. So it's like a reunion here.
And how about you, Ken Kaplan? Do you have a response?
I do. It's great to see you, Steve. You're looking great. You look much younger than I do right now. I just noticed that Jeffries is on the line too. But I
Wonderful.
wanted to mention, Dave, that although I am living in Sarasota, I am a member and past president of the Rotary Club of Lakewood Ranch. And that is in Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, but I'm right across the border in Sarasota. But I've been a Rotarian for many, many years, and it's been my honor and privilege to help Steve become involved with Shelterbox. I've been recently awarded a gift from Shelterbox. I'm now in their Hall of Fame. My wife and I have raised over $100,000 for the cause, and we're very proud of that. But I'm also very proud of anybody who gets involved with Shelterbox, because when I got involved in the organization way back in 2005 and 6, we only had 25 or 30 ambassadors in the country. And Rhonda and I went across the country to California, to Alabama, to Arkansas, to Maine, Vermont, etc., to show people what Shelterbox was and get new and active volunteers. And they have been extremely supportive. And now we have well over 150 ambassadors in the country. And we are the second largest distributor of shelter in the world, second only to the Red Cross.
Well, that's terrific. And it's nice to see your smiling face, Ken. And I know the good weather is certainly made you look as handsome as ever. I would like to also welcome our friend Jeffries. She's from the Rotary Club of the Bridgewaters, a longtime Rotarian, and she certainly exemplifies the spirit of Rotary's motto, service above self. And she's on screen right now, and you folks can see her. But just to make sure that she's present, she's sitting in front of a sign that says present. And I wanted to.
That's actually last year's Rotary logo.
So I did want to say to you, Fran, that we appreciate your efforts, not only serving as club president, but for your journeys around the world, doing what you can to help people. And I think every one of us on this show today are active Rotarians, but we're all in the helping people business, doing what we can to make a difference in a community. And I know that you have enjoyed Shelterbox, and I know that the president of Shelterbox USA, Harry Murray, we couldn't be with her, although I interviewed her on Wednesday. We had some technical difficulty, but she had some good things to say about you, Fran. And what can you say about yourself? Why are you so active in Rotary?
Well, I can talk about Shelterbox for a moment. I'm active with Shelterbox because of Ken Kaplan. And and what Ken Kaplan did when Shelterbox was first founded was that he went to many Rotary clubs and sort of stayed until one or two people volunteered. Not everyone stayed with it, but it takes that kind of persistence, that kind of thoroughness. He talked about he and Rana going across the country, also recruiting ambassadors and raising money. But the bottom line for most ambassadors is that you're, I guess we say nicely, you're building awareness, but you've got to deliver the money. It does cost to do the kind of work we're doing, and so that's what we do. We do it all kinds of ways, and we're really fortunate in this region to have had a tone set for teamwork among the ambassadors. So there are now 4 of us, and Joel Kopke is another one. It makes a big difference in the way you can work together to make sure that our region, our district delivers and is aware of shelter box. So
Well
yeah.
said, Fran Jeffries. And I know that Ken, you're looking even better since your wife Rhonda got into the picture.
Hey,
Let's congratulate and recognize Joel Kopke, because he was just elected by Rotarians as the district governor nominee designate for District 7950. So hats off to you, Joel.
Thank you.
I can tell you, as a person who served as a governor for our district, what a great honor and privilege it is to be able to meet up with all the Rotary clubs in District 7950, which encompasses the entire state of Rhode Island, southeastern Massachusetts, Cape Cod, and the 2 islands, Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Hats off to you and for your club, the Plymouth Sunrise Club, for supporting you. What have you got to say? I know you're fairly new at working on Shelter Box, but not a new Rotarian.
Yeah, I think I'm the baby in the Shelter Box family here. Yeah, I've been in Rotary for, I believe it's going on 29 years. And I really cut my teeth in South Jersey at the Atlantic City Rotary Club, if you will. And I was there for many, many years. I really became interested in international programs when our family was hosting professionals who came to our district for a period of time, and a group study exchange program, and and then later Rotary Youth Exchange kids. Our families hosted 11 from around the world. And my passion in Rotary is basically working with young people. When I moved back to Massachusetts, I grew up on the South Shore. I joined the Plymouth Sunrise Club and became their youth services director in the club, working with Plymouth schools. And then somehow I got hooked into the job at the district level, and I became the district New Generations chair. And I've been holding that position for the last 3 years. And it's just, to me, that's my passion that got me involved and kept me involved in Rotary, although I've done many programs, in different countries, obviously, because that's where Rotary spends some of their time. But, Shelter Box, I'd heard about Shelter Box. I had seen pictures and stories about Shelter Box, but I think it was probably one of the last years that I was in South Jersey that I actually saw a Shelter Box setup and had an opportunity to talk with an ambassador. And I became keenly aware of the program and wanted to, learn more and get involved. And that's how I jumped into it. Probably about 3 years ago, I've done 2 small fundraisers. Recently, I had an opportunity to talk with Carrie, and I'll be getting some type of supplies. So I'll be looking for Steve to help me set up a presentation of some sort so that I can be effective.
We can arrange that for you. Joel, we're going to have to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and continue our conversation with 4 very active Rotarians scattered around New England and around the world. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to host this show called Service Matters. You're listening to WPRO, the voice of Southern New England, And we thank you so much, ECAT, Eastern Community Access TV, for covering it. Hurry back.
Disaster, conflict, and climate crisis are forcing more people to flee their homes than ever before. Right now, this is a reality for over 100 million people. Their lives destroyed, futures uncertain. We're Shelterbox, a global community that believes shelter is a human right. Shelter is the foundation for life, a foundation for survival, stability, and dignity. We're united by a shared purpose. No one without shelter after disaster.
Bana ait, hani orayı fermuarı çektiğim zaman diyorum, hani kafam rahat.
We enable people to take the first steps towards recovery, providing emergency shelter and aid essentials. Shelter repair kits, water filters, solar lights, helping people build, repair or return home.
Çok güzel bir duygu yani insanın barınacağı, hani kendini çadır da olsa güvende hissediyorum hani kendimi fermuarını çekince.
We listen to what communities need so that we can effectively respond to complex situations. We support by giving the right emergency shelter items, and we share our expertise, championing local partnerships and standing united on environmental sustainability.
Yemek de rahat yiyemem, yapamam da. Ama burada zevkle çayımı da içiyorum, kahvemi de içiyorum.
When homes are torn apart and lives destroyed, we'll be there. Because life can't wait. Support Shelterbox. Together we can build foundations for life.
Welcome back to another segment of Service Matters. I can't believe, folks, that we've been doing this show for about 15 years, talking about good things that happen in local communities and beyond. And you know something, the world's gotten a little crazy. And I think that by talking about the good things might help turn things around a little bit. I have with me today 4 staunch Rotarians who, in case you're wondering out there, what is Rotary? It's a worldwide humanitarian organization of men and women, business and professional people united together to serve. Their motto is service above self. Their mission is to not only do good in the community, but to reach beyond to do good in the world. And I wanted to congratulate Joel, one of our guests. He was just selected and elected as the district governor nominee designee. Yep. And he's out of the Rotary Club of Plymouth Sunrise. And of course, everybody knows where Plymouth, Massachusetts is. It's the opportunity to go and see the famous rock. But I did want to ask Steve, what can you say about these Rotarians that join us on the show today? You can see them all on Zoom, and you're familiar with all of them, but how important Rotary is to give back to the community. And they have done very well at that. And they expanded that by doing the best they can to help around the world.
Absolutely. I mean, your guests today, I've known them all for many, many years. Joel's the latest to join the group, but I've known Joel also as an assistant district governor. And I've known Fran for many, many years. I mean, Fran is just amazing. She does a fundraiser in the past for Shelter Box and other local organizations, a polar plunge, and it's just amazing. I wouldn't jump in on January 1st, but she's more than willing to do that as a fundraiser, and she's now broadened that to bring other Rotarians into the cold. And again, her enthusiasm is just a fundraiser by itself.
You know, Steve, my wife has a lot of good things to say about Fran Jeffries. She made a trip to South Africa on a Rotary International program to help folks out. And she still today, Fran, talks about helping the women out back in South Africa and how important Rotary is. And I wanted to ask you, Ken Kaplan, if I may, what does Rotary mean to you? You've been a Rotarian for a number of years. You've met a lot of good people that like to give back.
Well, when I joined Rotary years ago, before you were the district governor, but when I did join, I joined it because I felt that I was very fortunate in my life that I had a roof over my head, that I had meals, I had healthy children, and I decided that I wanted to do something to give back to the community. So it was my wife's idea to ask somebody about Rotary. And I was asked to join, and I was very happy to do that. But since joining Rotary, I've gotten more involved in helping people throughout the community in different ways, not just through Shelter Box, but my Rotary Club here in Florida has a food and wine fest. We raised $125,000. It was our 20th year. We give all that money back to the community. We've also been able to build a playground here in Florida that is accessible for handicapped children and children with all abilities. We've been able to help start a program called Florida Books for Kids. I was the co-founder of that. And we go into schools and read to children in Title I schools and give them a free book every single time we go in and read so they can build their own library. Not a used book, but a new book. So we've been very fortunate to be able to do that. As a Rotarian, it gives me such pleasure to be able to give back to the others in need.
Absolutely terrific, Ken. I did want to let you know that I thought that Kerry Murray, the president of Shelter Box USA, did a terrific job on the air. I am sending a copy of that show, not only to you folks, but I'm going to send it to John Hugo, the General Secretary of Rotary International. He speaks, I know, very favorable about Shelter Box being a partner with Rotary International. So John, thank you so much as you watch this video. There's some Rotarians very active in District 7950, but they've expanded. They're doing things around the world with Shelter Box. I'd like to ask the five of us to give a little wave to our founder, I shouldn't say founder, but certainly the president of Shelter Box USA, Kerry Murray. Our best to you, Kerry, and thank you so much for doing the show this past week. This is a follow-up to that show because there is a partnership with Rotary International. And how do you folks know Kerry? Have you had a chance to meet her personally? Ken, you were on the board of directors. Was she the president at that time?
No, she was not.
Yeah.
We had other presidents before her. It was when we decided that Lakewood Ranch in Florida was a wonderful beginning. We had to expand Shelter Box throughout this country, and we had to take it to the other part of our country. So we had people in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we had Kerry in California. And it was just a good fit when we chose Kerry to be our leader, to be able to bring Shelter Box to the next level, to be a higher level and a better fundraiser. Now, again,
I'm truly amazed at how many countries she's been to herself. Some countries she couldn't get into by the nature of what's going on around the world. But Steve, you had the opportunity to be at a meeting the other day, you and Fran, and maybe you can tell us something about your association with her.
Sure. We had lunch this week with Carrie down in Rhode Island, and it's just amazing. I hadn't heard that she had been out in Morocco, but she had just come back from the Atlas Mountain region that had a devastating earthquake. And this is very poor communities that were just devastated. 90% of all structures were destroyed. And here she was from the United States, hiking up these mountain trails, bringing shelter box and survival stuff with her, and just being a hero, a true sense of the word hero, to all the people up there. And the fact that she was sleeping outdoors in these tents up there. I mean, it's not like when we go to the disaster area, we're staying in hotels. We're right there with all the refugees, all the disaster victims. And it's not easy, but they're trained. And that's the one thing that Shelter Box really emphasizes is training of the staff and the pre-deployment group that goes out there to assess the needs. And it's just, she's wonderful at spearheading all that. She's been in Ukraine.
And you had lunch with her the other day, another lunch that I wasn't invited to. I did want to say, we're going to come back and have friend Jeffries tell us about 2 nominations for the Nobel Peace Award, recognition to Shelter Box USA. We're going to take another break. Again, you're listening to Service Matters. Yes, we talk about the good things and how important it is for us to do that. Hurry back, folks. Welcome to Service Matters, a weekly radio show that talks about the good things that are happening in local communities and beyond.
Since 1978, the Eastern Food Pantry has been dedicated to providing food to our neighbors in times of need. As long as there's hungry people in our community, our doors are open, our hearts will be open to help.
We also like to talk about the good things that people do to make a difference, and in many cases, to make dreams real for folks out there in need.
Just to chat about, as you say, some of the good things in life, some of the good things, the great things, and the happy things.
And certainly watch us on ECAT, Eastern Community Access Television.
Disaster, conflict, and climate crisis are forcing more people to flee their homes than ever before. Right now, this is a reality for over 100 million people. Their lives destroyed, futures uncertain. We're Shelterbox, a global community that believes shelter is a human right. Shelter is the foundation for life. A foundation for survival, stability, and dignity. We're united by a shared purpose. No one without shelter after disaster.
Bana ait, hani orayı fermuarı çektiğim zaman diyorum, hani kafam rahat.
We enable people to take the first steps towards recovery, providing emergency shelter and aid essentials. Shelter repair kits, water filters, solar lights, helping people build, repair or return home.
Çok güzel bir duygu yani insanın barınacağı, hani kendini çadır da olsa güvende hissediyorum hani kendimi fermuarını çekince.
We listen to what communities need so that we can effectively respond to complex situations. We support by giving the right emergency shelter items, and we share our expertise, championing local partnerships and standing united on environmental sustainability.
Yemek de rahat yiyemem, yapamam da. Ama burada zevkle çayımı da içiyorum, kahvemi de içiyorum.
When homes are torn apart and lives destroyed, we'll be there. Because life can't wait. Support Shelterbox. Together we can build foundations for life.
Welcome back to another segment of Service Matters. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is for folks out there to start talking about the good things that are happening. There's a lot of craziness going on. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about the fact that there are many people who are doing what they can to make a difference in our world. Perfect example today is the 4 Rotarians that I have join me. They belong to an organization, they give back, they feel good about doing it. And friend Jeffries, before we went on break for some PSAs and commercials, I did want to say that the Navakin Credit Union has been a very generous sponsor of our show, Service Matters. They've been doing it for a number of years. They like the idea of talking about good things. They have 24 branches scattered throughout the Ocean State in Rhode Island. Their motto happens to be people helping people. Rotary's motto is service above self. We're all in the helping people business. And Fran, the fact that the Shelter Box USA was nominated on 2 different occasions for that Nobel Peace recognition, that's big time. Tell us about it.
It is. I think the piece that really stands out in their contributions to peace worldwide is that the way that the deployment team works with the people who are experiencing the disaster, whether it's conflict or a natural disaster, stay with the community and help them settle in and get reestablished. And that is really the foundation of peace building going forward. The second thing about Shelter Box is that whereas many relief organizations deliver items to a central location, and then it's really up to the local people to manage to get them to the area, Shelter Box goes all the way into the disaster area, delivers things, and again brings this trained deployment team with them. I think earlier Steve was commenting about Carrie Murray going into the areas, and you stay where the other people are staying. There is nothing left. There's no place else to go. So once you're there, you stay. Shelter Box deployment teams also stay with the communities. I would say an average of 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes a little longer. Ken was alluding to the training, and it is not for the faint of heart. It's at least 3 stages, and because not only are you dealing with climbing over rubble and that kind of physical demand and setting up the tents or getting the shelter organized, but you're dealing with people who are in severe trauma. And that, if you've been in a situation like that, you know how wearing it is on you personally. So the person has to be physically able, but also very, very strong mentally and personally. So
that's terrific. I know it was Kerry Murphy, I should say Murray, that said to me on the air this past week that no family should be without shelter after a disaster. And she felt pretty strongly about that. And I think I said to her a quote that I always remember from Gandhi, who once said, and again I quote, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of helping others." And that's what my guests that have joined me today, that's what they're all about. And that's what Shelter Box, can you imagine? Every disaster that takes place, there are Rotarians on the ground that are there to receive the shelter boxes, to help set them up, and to take care of families that they didn't even know. But again, I say to everyone, you're in the helping people business, no doubt about it. And Joel, you are active in Plymouth, Massachusetts, as a Rotarian with the Sunrise Club. Can you believe that Rotarians around the world are doing what they can to eradicate polio?
Oh, it's an amazing situation. And for years, you know, polio when I was a kid was out there, and maybe 100,000 people or more just in our country, probably hundreds of thousands. And people were, and I don't even know what the number was, that how many people were dying just in our country. But polio it was pretty terrible. I remember getting my polio shot when I was a young boy. I didn't want that shot, but I'm sure glad I got it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was important. And of course, Rotary has an action group, Alzheimer's / dementia Rotary Action Group, that is starting to spread around the world. They're looking for a cure. And of course, there are many senior adults around the world that are walking around with this horrific disease. And I always remember, and I'd like to share that with you folks, there was a person who didn't remember his family members' names, but he sat down at a piano and played 12 songs. So music, in some cases, is medicine for those people that have Alzheimer's. And there's lots of things that Rotarians are doing around the world. And I know your clubs are very active, doing programs and projects. How about you, Steve, from the Rotary Club of Sharon? Your club is doing a terrific job with Gifts of Hope.
That's our flagship program, Dave, as you well know. It's been recognized by the state of Massachusetts Senate and Congress there for our service to the community. It's a program where we do some fundraising throughout the year and then around the holidays, we put together gift cards for teenagers, small cards, Target usually, Shaw's cards and other supermarket cards for the parents. And then we gift wrap bags of toys for each age appropriate for each child of a needy family. And they're all Sharon residents. We wish we could expand it, but that's been going on for years and years. And the cards that we receive back from the families, just thanking them for making it a holiday that they never could have done on their own, is just heartwarming.
Good job, Rotary Club of Sharon, Massachusetts. Ken, how about out in Florida? Any program that sticks out that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, we do quite a few. I think it's my Florida Books for Kids program. Again, we have children who, if you look at the statistics in Florida, we have close to over 60% of the third graders cannot read. They're not reading at grade level. So what we can do to help the teachers who are stressed beyond belief is to go into the classroom, read a book with our volunteers, discuss that book with the children, and then we bring a variety of books of many reading levels that the children can pick for their own home libraries. These are kids who don't have a library or a book at home, and these are kids who are having a struggle with reading. We also have a tutoring program where we go in and we work one-on-one with some of the children to help them learn to read.
Terrific. When we come back after another break, we're going to speak with Fran Jeffries and Joel. You folks, I know, doing good things in your Rotary Club. I did want to mention that Kerry Murray, of course, came to Providence. That's where some of her roots were. She went to Providence College. She was recognized by the college and was there for a special award. We're going to take another short break after these important messages. And most important of all, we have some public service announcements that we want folks to hear that talks about Shelter Box. We'll be back.
Disaster, conflict, and climate crisis are forcing more people to flee their homes than ever before. Right now, this is a reality for over 100 million people. Their lives destroyed, futures uncertain. We're Shelterbox, a global community that believes shelter is a human right. Shelter is the foundation for life. A foundation for survival, stability, and dignity. We're united by a shared purpose. No one without shelter after disaster.
Bana ait. Hani orayı fermuarı çektiğim zaman oh diyorum. Hani kafam rahat.
We enable people to take the first steps towards recovery, providing emergency shelter and aid essentials. Shelter repair kits, water filters, solar lights. Helping people build, repair or return home.
Çok güzel bir duygu yani insanın barınacağı, hani kendini çadır da olsa güvende hissediyorum hani kendimi fermuarını çekince.
We listen to what communities need so that we can effectively respond to complex situations. We support by giving the right emergency shelter items, and we share our expertise, championing local partnerships and standing united on environmental sustainability.
Yemek de rahat yemem, yapamam da. Ama burada zevkle çayımı da içiyorum, kahvemi de içiyorum.
When homes are torn apart and lives destroyed, we'll be there. Because life can't wait. Support Shelterbox. Together we can build foundations for life.
Welcome back to the final segment of Service Matters. Done a lot of shows over the years, 15 years to be exact. That's thousands and thousands of people. And of course, once a week, and people who have been on the show have shared their show with others that we felt we needed to have. But the four Rotarians that I have on the air today really speak from their hearts. They're very much into serving others. And of course, going to other countries to help out is another thing. Joel, you're with the Rotary Club of Plymouth Sunrise. Maybe you can tell us about the importance of being involved internationally.
Sure. Plymouth Sunrise is my second Rotary, actually my third Rotary Club, but I cut my teeth in Rotary in Southern New Jersey at the Atlantic City Rotary Club. And I rose up through the ranks and became part of the district leadership down there. And I learned about an orphanage in Santo Domingo that our district was very involved in. And the water purification system at the orphanage had malfunctioned and broken down. And we were spending $3,500 a month to fix this. And I came home several months in a row, and it was just a very frustrating situation. We eventually did 2 different fundraisers, and I have to tell you that my middle school daughter was the one who came up with the idea to fix this, because she had been in Rotary since she was 3 years old. But so we raised $13,500. I came home, told her, and she said, "When are we going?" I said, "When are we going where?" She said, "When are we going to the orphanage? You promised me." I think she gamed me, but that's okay. We went down to the orphanage, and that was the first of 10 years in a row that we went to this orphanage and put in some sweat equity. I was in charge of youth services down there. We brought interactors from high school service clubs down there, Rotaractors, other Rotarians, and a few parents every once in a while. And we did some sweat equity for about 4 days. Then we had a day of play down there. But interacting with the children at the orphanage was, what we did in the late afternoon after we worked. But that got me involved in thinking about not my front yard or my backyard, but what's happening in the world. How can we help?
Well said, well said. And now I'm going to go to friend Jeffries. Some final comments you'd like to make. I know that this show to me is very special, and I've had the honor and privilege of working at the club level, the district level, the zone level, and even at Rotary International. But this show is very special. Go ahead, friend.
Well, I think like Joel, what attracted me to Rotary in the first place was the mission to advance world peace and understanding. So whether we're building a playground or giving books, or whether we're fixing a well and a pump, it doesn't matter. And like Shelter Box, it's all about building peace and advancing world understanding. So we're connected around the world. And I had my first Rotary International experience kind of appeared on my desk one morning, and I didn't quite know what to do with it. I was working at a university. Ethiopia had been in a 17-year civil strife, coupled with drought and famine. And the country was in desperate conditions, especially in the northern part. A faculty member had gotten a grant to do adult literacy. And I realized that if she went alone, that while she's a superb teacher and had all the credentials for the literacy, she was pretty clueless about how to organize it. And I thought maybe I should go. And so at that time, there was a small Rotary grant for travel. So with my mighty $2,000, I bought my ticket to Ethiopia. I told 2 people, and you can imagine the kind of shrieks and throwing up hands that I got. So I decided just not to mention it any further. My family knew I was going. And I thought the worst that can happen, and this is kind of Rotary, is that it wouldn't work out. I'd have to come home and I'd pay back the money. And I thought I could manage that. So off I went. And that was really the beginning of working in adult literacy, which was not my area of specialization. But, you get a label and then you have to rise to the occasion. But those are the opportunities you have to make the connections among Rotarians and to be sort of an ambassador, just as we are with Shelter Box, for world peace, and to say, don't think about this great big idea that you can't embrace. think about the small piece you can do, and there are plenty of opportunities, and they just keep coming and coming. So, and I think you do what you're able to do. So we told about Carrie going to the site. That might not be feasible for other people. So that person then speaks to a Rotary Club and raises some funds so the deployment team can go and there would be supplies. So for me, that's the Rotary story.
Absolutely terrific. And I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to take this opportunity not only to thank you, Fran, but Steve Savanna in our studio, and the other folks that called in via Zoom. I'm talking about my good friend Ken Kaplan from Florida. We appreciate you calling in, Ken. We also appreciate Joel Kopke. He's a district governor nominee in the district, and he's from the Plymouth Sunrise Club. We're sorry that Janet Dye from the Bridgewaters couldn't join us today, but I thought you all did a terrific job of sharing the importance of your organization. I also congratulate the local Lions Club. They have over 100 members here in the town of Easton. They also do good work. And of course, even though we're Rotarians, we appreciate what others do to help make a difference. So that's going to end our program for today. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to have hosted this very special show. I say to each and every one of you out there, go forth to serve and do it with a smile on your face. And if you're going to do something good to help someone out, certainly do it with the dignity that it deserves. That music in the background happens to be What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. And what a wonderful world it is, because of Fran, because of Ken, because of Joel, and because of Steve, and others like Kerry Murray, who steps up to the plate to represent the importance of Shelter Box USA. We opened up with We Are Rotary, a country western song. We're going to end it with that song as well. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Keep up the good work in an organization that represents service above self. Have a good weekend.
We are Rotary, committed heart and soul to build community.